What's up everybody, Tarafdar back with a brand new video. Today I want to talk about something very critical, and the topic is about why a lot of credit repair agencies, those companies out there, why they're failing, right? And it is not something that's commonly talked about because of course those who fail are never going to come and tell you that they failed, or they're having difficulties, or they're going through a phase where they're actually being sued, or for instance, where they're not able to get customers or let alone retain the customers. And I think that there's a lot of different ways to answer this, but I'm going to go ahead and give it to you in a three-step approach, right? The first step is all those businesses out there that are thinking of doing credit repair or starting a credit repair agency. They have to think about the approach in a way that actually says, what is it that's going to be different than those individuals out there who can learn on their own, such as watching all these videos, for instance, right? So that approach has to be very critical. Unless otherwise there's something really significantly different, unique to the T, where you can, when I think about that topic, I know of you, or I think of you or some way, that's I think a critical component here. So unless otherwise you're really well versed in that specific niche or category and highly specialized in that category, there's not really a way that I can really help to think of yourself when it comes to credit repair, for instance, right? And if you have to think about your customers, will your customers think about that the same way that you would want them to think about it, right? Would you want your customers to think about it in a way that would make sense and a perspective where that specific specialty is you? Is it something that you would be able to identify yourself as? Is it something that you would be able to say comfortably that this is what I'm specialized in, and this is the reason why I'm starting my credit repair agency? So I'll give you an example of this. So I have a lot of individuals out there who are in the mortgage business. So if that specific representative who's sponsoring mortgages or basically putting out mortgages has difficulties with customers with credit challenges, what they can do is put together a product that actually custom tailored to fixing the credit in addition to making a file mortgage ready, but let's say in a very systematic way, right? And they have to brand themselves with that to start, to say that this is my system and this is the way I help represent customers who are having credit challenges, and I get them approved for financing for their homes. So that's one way of doing it, right? So there's many different ways, but what I'm trying to say here is you need to really find your specialty. You really need to identify and hone in on that one skill and specialty and talent that other credit repair agencies cannot simply say, well, you know what, we're actually going to cover that space, because it's just difficult, right? And that leads us to our second point. Yes, you want to specialize in something, you want to hone your talents and skills, and you want to really be representing that space in the most prominent way possible. But here's a cool step, right? If you want to cover that space, you really got to be dominant. You really got to demonstrate your ability to go out there and not saying, shamelessly promote yourself, but add the value that you can. So there's a lot of credit repair agencies out there. I know they're just trying to get the customers, and credit repair itself, I'll be honest with you, is a very basic business. It's just going in, helping customers fix their credit and getting paid for it, and essentially, churning and burning, going to the next customer, going to the next customer. I think the industry has a lot more potential than that, right? And there's a reason why I've merged my investment banking, private equity, venture capital, to family office knowledge into this credit repair space. And I think that the reason why this is critical is because if I start with the journey of helping you create the foundation that you need to be financially strong, the chances are that you're going to come back to me and you want to do business with me at one point or the other. Maybe you want some guidance in terms of doing the transaction. Maybe you want me to participate with you to raise some capital for maybe a real estate fund or something like that, right? The goal here is I want to work with people selectively on those individuals that I feel confident about, who are strong financially, right? I want them to come to me knowing who I am, knowing Ali Tarafdar is a person who is mentoring individuals on a financial level through bespoke systems, which is essentially custom systems. And by the time you come to me and you know what my reasonable expectations are, I kind of it's easier for me to do business with you, or at least qualify on whether or not we'll be the right fit to work together. So credit repair has to be a little bit more than just a short-minded, short-sighted, instant gratification type of model. It has to lead to something greater than yourself as a company. It has to lead to greater, to create success for other people out there, whether it be in a business or financial sense, It's supposed to create a community where knowledge is first, right? Results are second, and the third is, being able to work together and collaborate. So once again, knowledge is first, result is second, and collaboration is third. Because I think that's the key to really building a lot of wealth fast. So, and I talked about it a lot of times why I give up free content. It's because I believe that there's opportunities out there for us to work together in a very prominent way. But in order for me to make that happen, I got to be able to give you the knowledge and the education that you need to be comfortable around working with me. So that expectation is set from the get-go, and I have to create that expectation for you. So that's the second part of why a lot of credit repair businesses fail. It's because they're so nearsighted and short-sighted, and they want that instant gratification. And I think the third is you got to stop being deceptive. You got to be fully transparent with customers, and chances are you can make 15% back end, 10% back end, all that good stuff. But what value are you really adding to the customer? You got to ask yourself that honestly. Is the value that you're adding to your customer so big that it's irresistible, that for sure it's worth that $7,000? Because I'll be honest with you, a lot of people raising capital for centimillionaires, like $100 million families, or sometimes even doing a business for $100 million and working on an investor relations basis is $7,000. So I don't know what that fee justifies somebody that you're putting in debt. In addition to that, they have a baggage to carry, and then you're charging those back end fees. I mean, I'm good for that. I don't mind, certain times, but I wouldn't go as far as 4%. That's the maximum. And by the way, one of the things that a lot of people don't realize, and I've seen a lot of recent lawsuits happening, particularly in the state of California and in the state of Georgia, is that credit repair companies are getting sued by the CFPB privately in private actions with their attorneys. And they have this addendum that you can't really disclose that information because it's a non-disclosure during the lawsuit for settlement process. So a lot of people will tell you their horror stories, but when you start charging back-end fees, and when you start doing these type of things, I mean, I respect that, but you have to be careful of what you're doing. You're financially engineering a file. You're helping that individual obtain financing that, technically speaking, their habits haven't really changed. So you're not really looking at and nurturing their financial needs. You're essentially pushing them to the limit, but deceiving them and giving them something on a temporary basis without the knowledge and education transferred to create real financial change, which leads them back to defaulting and making it harder for those people who are really deserving of good credit to get that credit. Because now the systems have to adjust, the banks have to look at the risks, and they have to create systems to avoid giving lending limitations, to avoid giving, like, let's say, financing to certain individuals. And that's great, So what I'm saying is these lawsuits are led by a lot of unjust fees that are charged to customers, and these type of things are coming more and more into the light, right? A lot of people are getting into, these type of private actions by attorneys represented by the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, among the credit reporting agencies and credit companies themselves. You're not a bank, you're not licensed to, so you're not giving a product there, therefore you cannot charge a transaction fee. This is simply a transactional guidance perspective. You're essentially guiding an individual that they can get the information themselves, and if that's the case, there's nothing unique about it. So the banks can essentially sue you for non-compete because you're essentially offering their own products and charging fees that customers can get for themselves. That's not really something unique. So you got to be careful with that. And a lot of people may disagree with me and say, well, no, it exists. But I want you to show me a case law that you have won, or somebody that if in fact the court has won for offering financing to customers and charging more fees than the banks would up front and putting the customer in debt already, right? There's a big reason why I don't do a lot of these type of things, and if I do, the fee is justified with additional services that I offer, such as coaching, mentoring, guiding them, and getting them into a home, helping them with appraisals, finding the real estate transactions, vetting the process out, getting themselves put together with a team that they can do the same transaction with. You guys have to understand, the credit repair business is not, it's something that you have to think long term. It's not something short term. If you think in short term, you're going to get hurt quite a lot. And it's very critical that you understand the laws, the systems. Do you understand the real rules and regulations of the banking industry? Credit repair, you're dealing with financial institutions. You're dealing with customers' sensitive information, right? So you have to be a good fiduciary. You have to take that responsibility if you're going to touch somebody's credit to fix it, to guide them the right way. right? And not just be a one trick pony just to fix their credit, turn and burn and get a new customer and charge ridiculous fees, which is non-sustainable because that's the only thing you'll be known for. You don't have any other systems or business models out there that can help customers create the real financial transformation, leave their family a legacy of wealth, right? So you have to think long term. If you're in this business, I'm sorry if you don't like what I'm saying, but you have to, ladies and gentlemen, you have to think about your customers. You have to think about the repercussions of being silly and doing things that people can do themselves. There's a reason why I teach advanced tactics and strategies. It goes in the business mindset to resolve credit issues, which is the ultimate personal credit mastery, right? It's not a question of, here's a template, dispute letters, go and file it, you should be good. You can go to Google search, type in file type : PDF, and then parentheses, just put section 609 or whatever you guys want, and you'll have those things. There's a lot of things that you can do with Google, and you can get free files. You don't have to pay for it. If you're going to pay for something, you got to you got to justify the reason as to why you're paying for it and what value it's adding in your life. So that's the way it works, guys. Okay, so that's the biggest reason as to why credit repair agencies fail and credit card companies fail. So you got to make the most of what I just told you. If you're in this business, then follow these type of rules and guidelines, and you'll be in position to succeed. And if you're not in this business and you're considering going into this business, then regardless of what I say, you'll have to understand that you have to prepare yourself for these different type of situations that I just explained. You have to be unique on your own perspective. What is it that you're going to do differently that people can't watch my videos and learn on their own, right? What is it that you're going to do differently that is going to add value to your customer on a long-term basis that will lead down to further and better relationship with your customer so that you can retain them and build more ongoing relationship with them? And the last but not least is, what's your structure for pricing? Right? Does it make sense? Is it justified? Are you competing with the institutions? Did you check the laws? False pretenses, etc., etc. So there's a lot of different things that you have to understand, right? So this game, it's not a game, but this whole process of credit repair and the business itself is really, it's got to be something that you have to really deeply understand before you get into it. And if you're already into it, then maybe you've been through a process where you're stuck, but you're looking to take it to the next level. Follow my advice and learn to create more value. Learn to create systems out there, programs that will benefit your customer even more, and be unique, be yourself, and more importantly, create something that people can relate to. Okay, because if they can't relate to you and they can find information elsewhere and they're comfortable with it without getting involved with you and wasting their time, they don't have to. Okay, so think about that. I'm not saying this to hurt anybody who's trying to get into the space. I admire it. I love competition, but I want competition to make my customers smarter so that they can come to me and they can ask me to improve my stuff and not just say dumb it down so that these people need to get what they need. I think people are generally smart. They're deserving of compliment in terms of their intelligence. I think we shouldn't undermine people, especially customers. And if we're going to create this industry, if we're going to create credit repair processes for customers, we got to give them the best we possibly can and hope that we can create a financial future for all of us together that makes sense, is very lucrative, and we can build wealth together on many, many different platforms. Okay, so with that said and done, guys, that was the reason why a lot of credit repair businesses fail. I hope you enjoyed my video. Yes, I look like an Eskimo. I'm in Montreal, guys. What do you expect? It's really cold. But I do hope that you guys subscribe to this channel if you're new. Turn that bell icon on, so every time there's a new video, you'll be notified. If you like what I shared with you guys, customer or not, business or not, give me a thumbs up, okay? And leave a comment below on what are some of the points you would add or agree to or criticize or feedback about what I've said in this video today, okay? With that said and done, this is your guide and mentor, Ali Tarafdar. Bye for now.